Hey everybody, welcome to Ho Ho Hong Kong. I am Andy Curtin here with my very good friend
Vivek Mabubani.
If you want to find out, if you want to find me online, you can check me out at Andy Curtin on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
You can follow me on Facebook at Funny Vivek letter M. All my other social media channels where I decided my name wasn't that difficult at Vivek Mabubani on Twitter, at Vivek Mabubani on YouTube. And yeah, don't bother trying to type my name. Just smash your keyboard. You'll probably get auto-corrected.
Did you? Yeah. It's because a lot of comics that have a name that's hard to pronounce or say.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, the thing is that back then I had this confidence. I'm like, I'm going to be so famous that people can be, we're going to type a name. It's going to be like a normal thing. I want to be the autocorrect. And then it turns out I wasn't famous enough and Microsoft autocorrect didn't care about me. And so I'm screwed.
Because there's a few guys, like Zach Galifianakis is one that comes to mind for me.
Yeah. He's just like, whatever. That's why he's always grumpy. Like you see, like what what was the show? Fern.
Oh, Between Two Ferns.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
that's a great show.
It's a great show. That's why he's grumpy. He's like, no one's gonna watch this. They can't find it.
You know what I like about him is like, so I have this theory that people say, oh, this comedy's funny, this comedy's not funny, whatever, like that. And I was having this chat with someone this morning. I'm like, forget about the topic. If you're thinking about the topic, it's because it's not funny.
Yeah.
Because if it's funny, you're not there being like, I don't know about this genre. You're just laughing.
True. You know? I mean, you shouldn't be noticing or being able to analyze and go like, oh, it was this technique.
Right. Yeah. But like using props and being absurd is generally not funny because it's just lazy.
Yeah.
They were just like,
you're relying on it.
They're like, I'm just trying to do something wacky because I don't know jokes. I don't have any jokes. Whereas he's funny.
Yeah.
And so his absurdity is hilarious.
Yeah.
Not because he's absurd. It's because he's funny. And that's how he finds his sense of humor.
Yeah, exactly. And when you watch him, you're just like, this guy's really into it. He's really grumpy. He's just sitting there going like, not impressed.
He's
talking to Obama going like, yeah, what about it? What about it?
He's got some, you know what? The other thing, like comedically, you notice is that he's actually a one-liner comic.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the way. And
also, when he comments.
Also, one of the most copied comedians out there.
Oh, okay.
You know, they say a good comedian ruins a generation of comedians.
Yeah, because everyone's like, want to be like him.
Yeah, and I remember I was in America one time and everyone at an open mic was doing some version of Zach Galifianakis.
So you had the generation.
You must have heard people do it that like, oh, my impersonation of an Indian taxi driver who has a baseball cap. Like, and it's like, whatever, you know.
I mean, like, the thing is, if you watch, let's say, Seinfeld and everything, and you see these guys doing this, you're like, that was in the 80s, guys. We're still doing this, right? So you always get a few of those people who are like, okay, this happened to me today. I'm going to impersonate it, and you guys have definitely never heard this before.
I've got my buddy Steph is just logged in. Hey, Steph, she's in Germany.
Oh,
great. Awesome to hear from you. And so today we're going to be talking about what is the best city, Hong Kong or Shanghai.
Wow, I feel like we need to have like some fight music. Ladies and gentlemen.
I never get that like genuine animosity between cities. It's kind of like in Australia, they're like, I'm from Melbourne, I'm from Sydney. I remember I met someone in Shanghai. He was like, where are you from? I'm from Melbourne. He goes, oh, I'm from Sydney. And I was like, well, I'm not talking to you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You sound really annoying.
I think that's people just have that genuine
New York, LA.
Yeah. I think it's because a lot of sports, right? You guys have a lot of sports between different cities.
I don't think it's a sport thing. I think it's more just like you just want to be just an insecurity that you need your city.
Fair enough. Like you want to be, I'm better than you, all that stuff. Well, fair enough. I think over here in Hong Kong, like I said, we're just too busy. We're like, we already know. We don't need to tell you that you suck.
When you're really great, you don't worry about competing with.
Yeah, you don't see Zach worrying like, wait, that guy did that bit at this comedy club. It sounds like me. I'm scared now. I'm gonna end my show.
I definitely worry about other comics being funny. Like I can't sleep at night because of it.
You're like, oh man, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Why did I give him stage time?
I've noticed that recently at the comedy club.
Yeah.
When I say recently, I mean when we were able to perform.
Can you believe it's been like 5 weeks, 6 weeks?
Someone asked me last night. I was like, I don't even know when we stopped.
Yeah, dude. I've given up. Like my whole life now has just been days zooming by. I'm just like, we're Saturday. It was Sunday. Like it was Monday. It's Tuesday.
I hate to admit it, but like. So I've been putting up photos of fun things that I've been doing on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's a bit on the nose.
Yeah.
Because some people, especially for me, a lot of them in Melbourne, they're like, oh, thank you. I want to see your fucking fun photos outside when I can't leave my house. But I'm also like, most of those people are also the same people that were like, you need to leave Hong Kong because it's dangerous over there.
Yeah, you want to show them.
So I was trying to be like, does this look dangerous to you?
Yeah, I don't know about it. I had time to take my camera out.
Yeah. Looks pretty nice.
Oh man, yeah.
But my point is that like I would never, because you don't like the outdoors at all.
Well, I'll give you something. I hiked. What? Yeah.
At what were you running from the police? Were you
okay, partially. Yeah, I was running away from reality. No, dude. Okay, so check it out. So Sunday, we were talking, and it was blue sky, right? And I was like, you know what? This whole hiking thing is overhyped, right? And I was like, okay, let's see. So the thing, so my mom, she likes going for walks and everything, right? So she was like, hey, let's go on this Dragon's Back hike. I'm like, I gotta take a bus there. I gotta go hike. Yeah. Monday came. The sky was beautiful. I'm like, oh man, this is a sign.
Beautiful day on Monday.
Beautiful day, right? I was like, you know what? If there's a day I'm gonna do this kind of.
Oh my god, I
stuff.
love every part of this story.
Right? And so I go online, right? I look for Dragon's Back, and I get every single. There's like, it's super convenient. I was hoping like, I can't figure out how to get there. I needed some excuse to tell myself that it wasn't me who said no. It's like I just couldn't get there. Turns out it's super easy. You get the bus.
Dude,
you get a chuck you one.
They're like from your house.
Yeah.
There are incredible hikes.
Yeah.
From your front door.
Exactly. No, I know that, but I was like, she specifically said Dragon's Back. I'm like, all right, you want to be
as an excuse.
all Oriental and stuff, fine, So we get there, we get off the bus, and I'm like, let's start walking. And I was like walking. And the beginning part is like pretty crazy steps and everything, right?
Oh yeah.
So I was like, all right, this is pretty good cardio, man. I'm feeling pretty good. The blood's getting to my brain, I can think clearer. You were getting the runner's high kind of thing.
A bit of dopamine.
I get to the top. I'm like, this view's pretty good, man. I can see. I know what that building is. We kept walking. Then it was like all flat road. I'm like, this is a pretty good cool down, man. I don't mind them. And then you get out, and what you find out is that you just get out, and there's a bus stop right there.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yes,
dude,
I can do this.
That's like, I went on a bunch of hikes in China, in mainland China.
Yeah.
Like specifically, I went on like Kunming and stuff like that. And there's some incredible, like you'd be on the face of a cliff.
Yeah.
And there'll be like a temple built into the cliff, and you're like, oh, no one can come up here. And then you look up and you're like, wait, how did those hundreds of tourists get here?
Yeah.
Like, wait, they built a road on the back of this thing? And you just, okay, there goes my serene
exactly,
crouching tiger, hidden dragon moment.
Yeah, exactly. It was bizarre, man. I mean, luckily there was only like 4 other hikers the whole journey. And I got to see like where rich people go on the weekends, the golf courses and all that. But my favorite part really was the fact that I finished the hike. I had the little sign that said, Dragon's Back arrow, and it was the other way. That means I just finished walking the whole thing.
Oh, there you go.
I was like, success. I look up, like, bus stop's right there. I'm
beautiful.
back to my city.
I
can do this. Yeah. I didn't want to have one of those, you got to walk another 10 minutes, go climb go through the beach.
Mate, I want to take you on a hike now. Now, if your mum can get you out, I can take you out. Nick Davis said he lived in Shanghai for 5 years, Hong Kong for 9 years. I think my time tells people my vote. There you go.
All right. So, Nick, thank you. We're going to end the podcast here because you pretty
much
summarized
Nick has answered the question, which is better, Hong Kong or Shanghai.
Yeah, but Hong Kong, Shanghai, I mean,
but it's an interesting point, though.
Yeah.
Not a lot of hiking in Shanghai. In fact, outdoor activities are pretty low in
Shanghai.
Yeah, oh yeah. Even like I'll swim in a pool in Hong Kong, even though I love going to the beach here. But I feel like Shanghai, I don't know, maybe I didn't have access to the really slick pools, but you're either an expensive hotel pool, which was nice.
Yeah.
Although the pools that were we could get to were just gross and full of people pissing.
Oh, okay. Because you went all the way like 2 extremes, right?
Well, no, it was just like the pools that people hung out at.
Yeah.
I feel like they were just, I don't know.
Okay.
So I feel like the summertime, but I don't want to get too far into that because that's a whole.
Yeah,
we're gonna get to that.
Pools and piss, man.
But I think that this is really about urinating. The rest of this podcast. Exactly. But I'm always curious for you.
Yeah.
Growing up here, when did you first go to mainland China?
I think I first went to mainland China was probably for one job that my friend got. Okay, so I used to be a web designer before, right? So me and my friend, we used to work freelance, and I would be like the designer, he'd be more the programmer, and we got a job, and this guy was like this typical American redneck, and he was like, guys, come down to China, and I want to meet you guys. That's my redneck trial.
Oh, I feel like I'm in Alabama right now.
And then so he was like, I'm coming out of Shanghai. Could you come on over, fly on over here to Shanghai? And stuff. And they have a Hong Kong town or something in Shanghai, like a Hong Kong area.
Really? I never saw
I
that.
mean, like some Hong Kong hotel, whatever. And he was actually staying around that area. I was
Wait, so an American took you to mainland China?
So he was flying there, and he wanted to work on this big project with us. And we were like, you know what? I think this is a good job.
How old were you?
We were like 20, maybe 22, 23.
You were 22 before you went to mainland China.
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Like, why would I go there?
It's just across. I could see it.
So is Dragon's Back. You don't see me walking there, when I was 12.
I mean, would people go? People couldn't go until like the 90s or something, right?
Yeah, I think after 97 it was way easier. Right? Pretty much everyone had their little pass.
So 97 it changed. You got a pass. You could go.
Well, I don't. So this is the bizarre
you could
thing.
Get it.
No. So you have to have apparently like some Chinese blood in you.
What?
Yeah. So like someone like myself can get that card. And so it's really bizarre. So I actually have to use a passport to go to China, mainland China. I'm born and raised in Hong Kong. I have a Hong Kong ID card, all the full-blown stuff.
But aren't we in China?
I mean, I thought it was, this is China. But apparently recently, as you saw probably in the news,
that is so
Hong Kong is not China.
Racist.
Well, apparently now, I mean, even the government's saying Hong Kong's not China, right? They want their stuff not to be labeled made in China. Did you hear about that?
Oh, I didn't hear about that, but it makes sense because no one's using. In Australia, people are really turning off made in China.
Exactly. So even in India, man, people are like, "Wow, made in where? Made in where?"
It's like, it's funny to me because it's such an easy fix.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, just turn off the machine that puts that tag on the clothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, we don't have to say it was made in China.
Why can't they say made in Shanghai? Like, why can't you just say made in Shenzhen? I mean, like, people would be like, oh, this sounds a little exotic.
Yeah.
Right?
Shenzhen, that doesn't sound like it's in China.
Yeah, exactly. It could be anywhere. Don't be racist. Don't assume.
Could be in France. Shenzhen.
Yeah, maybe. Shenzhen.
It could be Shenzhen, Ohio.
Yeah, it could be. Hey, true, you have in England and stuff in US, so it's all messed up.
My pet peeve, anytime I'm on a website, they're like, where are you from? Are you from Melbourne, Australia or Melbourne, Florida?
Yeah, you're like I know, right? That annoys me. So I went to Shanghai. We were there for a couple of days. The weird thing I noticed that everything was gray color. Like, I just noticed everything to be gray.
Pollution or?
No, just people's clothes, cars.
What year are we talking about?
This was, like I said, 12, 13, 14 years ago. Everything just seemed to be
it wasn't even that
desaturated.
I was there not long after that. 2007, 2006.
I would say, yeah. 2006, 7, 8. Yeah, it's probably 2007, 7, 8.
So that was post, like they weren't still on bikes. It wasn't just bikes.
It wasn't just bikes. There were cars. But
bikes.
what I noticed that everything was desaturated. Like all the colors were just generally, all the cars, there was no like bright cars. There was no bright clothes. Everyone just had it all desaturated. And I was just like, wow, this place is very gray.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think they might have changed that. No, I'm not being down. I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah, that was the one takeaway I had. Now, granted, I was there for the first time, didn't really know where to go. And, we were just kind of young and stuff. So, yeah, I was honestly, like, to be honest, in a very weird, biased way, I wasn't too impressed. I'll put it that way, right? Like, I see the photos online. I'm like, well, Shanghai looks pretty good. But I was like, when I was there, I'm like, they've definitely photoshopped everything I see online.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty captivating city. What was the perception of? Okay, here's another question. So, were your local friends who were easily able to go into mainland China when it started to open up?
Yeah,
were they going in there?
Not really. No. Like
no interest,
because most people were going there for business only, and I was like not at the age of having your own business and expanding to
you
China
weren't the hustling.
Yeah, I wasn't the I'm gonna go with the hustle. I've got the hustle.
Not the Vivek that we know of today.
Oh, very different, man. 10 years ago, I was like, excuse me, would you mind if I do comedy at this price? Okay, well, what about this price? What about this price?
You won't pay me this much.
Yeah, exactly. This is the price.
Sir, this is a McDonald's.
Exactly. Okay.
So what? Were you interested to go, or was it just work?
It was kind of
work.
Did
you have an interest?
Initially, not really, but I went there and we were like, we're here anyway. And so we were exploring, and it was weird because like even when we were walking around, if you did not tell me I was in Shanghai and you told me I was in Hong Kong, I would just say this was the desaturated Hong Kong, like color-wise.
So you did see similarities.
I did see a lot. Yes, I'll admit it. I saw a lot of, for example, like franchises. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And I remember seeing a whole bunch. Like the guy took us to Tony Roma's to eat.
I don't even know what that is.
It's
an
like
Italian
a
restaurant?
it's like a franchise. Like I believe American food, Italian, something like that. We were there, and I was like,
but did he know his way around, or was he just
no? He clearly was just like a American guy who in China factories, whatever, doing
I
business.
kind of get that because when I first went there, people say, "Oh, Shanghai's full of international restaurants and stuff." When I went there in 2009, if they were there, I didn't know where they were.
Yeah.
I didn't know how. I would have loved to have gotten a Western meal, just to have some diversity in what I was eating, from what I was, used to eating.
Exactly.
And I didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that opened up in the 2010s.
Yeah.
Certainly, it changed a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you were there,
it definitely wasn't.
And eating in a Chinese restaurant back then, they were also not as accommodating to foreigners. So I would go in and I was just like, just give me anything.
Yeah.
Like, just give me anything.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just take it, please. Within my budget, I'll do it. I think that's the thing, though. I have to say, I'm sure if
my friend Keely's saying Munchies. Munchies, I think, is like a Western restaurant there. I didn't do that place so much. It was a popular go-to for takeout and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if I go to Shanghai now, after all these years.
Oh, there's plenty of Western food.
Yeah, not even just Western. Just in general, the whole vibe will be different. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it changed while I was there a lot, and it changed again before I left.
It's just like I'm at a point where I'm like, I saw it, I'm like, like I have no incentive. I'll put it that way. I have no real incentive to be like, so to prove myself wrong, why would I do that? I'm pretty satisfied with my answer.
Do you think people in general, like if I said to you, okay, you're Vivek, I don't have an interest in hiking, but you understand a lot of people have interest in hiking,
yes,
right?
Yes.
What was the general position of people towards mainland China? Do you think people were generally
my friends,
interested?
I'm looking at my age group and everything. Honestly, it was more business related. No one that I knew was going to Shanghai for a vacation. If they wanted to, especially from Hong Kong, you would just go to like Lo Wu, or somewhere closer because you save time and travel and you get all the cheaper, let's say, massage parlors or hotels or whatever that you want as well. No one's, yeah, exactly. No
now I get it.
Yeah.
Now I know you went up there.
Hey, this is all business, people, all business.
Hey, Steph Fuccio. Oh, Steph, call back in. I was just about to bounce you in. If you want to call in, I'll bring you in. Steph Fuccio is a podcaster in Germany.
Actually, no, I did go to Shanghai again for a gig. I got booked for a gig in Shanghai.
Oh, I remember that. That was while I was there.
Oh, yeah. I think I must have messaged you or something.
Yeah, we talked about it. I was definitely aware of it.
Yeah. And I had Turkish food. I remember because I was there walking around. I'm like,
there's good Turkish food, actually.
No, that was impressive.
Dude, I had, over the years, there was good Russian food. Russians have an incredible history in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Actually, someone said to me, I think there were 3 different types of Russians that went there. There were Jewish
white
Russians.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say white Russians, black Russians.
No,
on the rock Russians.
It tends more Asian Russians than not so many black Russians.
I meant the drinks, but okay.
But okay, yeah.
Of course, let's go straight to the race, Andy. Comedy. Let's go straight to the race.
Oh, she butt dialed. No worries. All right, Steph. I thought Steph was
it's always encouraging to know that your audience don't want to call in and they butt dial.
I know, that's so funny. No, I don't want to speak to you.
No, like you could just call.
Please don't take me in. It was my phone.
Oh man.
I love you, Steph. So Russians. There were Shanghai's got much longer history than Hong Kong. Actually, interestingly, both of them were referenced in the Treaty of Nanking.
Yeah.
Which is significant. So the Treaty of Nanking is when the British kind of forced the Chinese into this deal that gave the British Hong Kong Island and opened up 5 treaty ports across China because they wanted to trade with the Chinese. Big problem was they couldn't trade with them.
Yeah.
Actually, can I go nerd out in history a little bit?
Me, yeah.
So actually, it's funny because Trump criticizes China of manipulating their currency, selling more things than they buy, which causes a trade imbalance globally. Yes. They had the same problem back then, actually, because the Chinese sold so much tea, but they refused to import much from the rest of the world.
Yeah,
and that was that whole story where the trade guy came out and the emperor was like, "You can kiss my shoe, but we're not buying any of your stuff."
Yeah.
And so the British were like, "How do we resolve this trade imbalance? We'll sell them opium." So the opium was
actually they would want that.
Yeah, well, the opium was a way that they could because they were giving all of their silver to buy the tea. China was just hoarding the world's silver.
Of course, and
to get the silver back, they sold them opium.
Yeah, I see.
Right, and so the emperor realized that this was ruining the country. And so there was a lot of the opium was being stored on an island near Macau. I can't remember what it was called, but it was
it Lantau?
It might have been. It might have
on
been.
the east side, Andy.
I don't remember it, but
Yeah.
the significance of it was he sent this emissary down there who went and put famous story, put
Yeah.
salt on the opium
yeah.
and poured a lot of it into the sea.
Oh.
And it was the guy, you know, Jardine House.
Yes.
Jardine was an opium importer.
I'm not surprised.
And his brother went back to England and said, "Send the British Navy. We're losing all our opium." And that kind of got the opium wars going, which was very much the British annihilating them with their superior navy on the seaboard of eastern China, where most of the cities were. Major cities. Anyway, so Hong Kong, interesting fact, Hong Kong as an island, because people always say, oh, the British stole Hong Kong. Well, Hong Kong Island was a fishing village with 7,000 people when the British put their flag up.
Yeah. Wow. 7,000 up to
So when you look at the city of Hong Kong and be like, how could the British steal this? Well, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was just 7,000 people. Wow. Well, I'll be honest with you. I knew none of that.
Oh, and Peter said Apple Store is the new opium. It's entirely possible.
Very true.
I got to say, I think opium is far less addictive than an iPhone.
Oh, definitely, man. I mean, like, it's at least ergonomically better for you. You lie down, it's better for your back. With an iPhone, you're always leaning forward. You're like, oh, my neck. It's
much harder to inject an iPad into your arm, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you, honestly, like, think about
have
heroin, crack.
Have you tried smoking an iPod?
I don't use Apple products from day one. I've been
really?
Yeah, dude. You'll never see. I've used one MacBook before, and I was like, yeah, no.
I like them. Do you know what a problem I have now?
Yeah.
Is I bought a MacBook.
Yeah.
I can't afford a new MacBook.
And you're stuck, right? Yeah.
And I'm stuck.
There's no in between a budget version, like, the budget brands.
And I like using it, but
I get it, dude. I get it. I'll be honest with you. I totally get it. Once you're in the ecosystem and you're used to it, you're just like, this just works, man.
I got an Android. Happy with the Android, though.
Yeah.
Super happy with the Android.
I think the phone-wise, I definitely, from day one, I was like, yeah, Android, without a doubt.
Way better.
Yeah. Luckily for me, I mean, like, Apple's never contacted me for any sort of gig stuff. But on the other hand, Samsung and stuff, I've done gigs, ads for them. So I was like, whew, good one, man.
Yeah. One of my favorite jokes was, do you know Jeff Sinclair? When Samsung, the phones were blowing up.
Yeah.
He said that Samsung offered a refund to everyone in the world except for Koreans. And he said, as protest, they should go over to the Samsung offices and just charge their phones.
Yeah. Nice. Everyone bring your Samsung 7s.
So my perception, when I first moved out here in 2009, to be honest with you, no matter how much I thought I knew, I really didn't know the difference between Hong Kong, Shanghai, or even Tokyo.
Yeah.
Like,
you were from Melbourne, so
I just didn't know.
Yeah,
like, I thought I knew. Obviously, I didn't have any idea about the cultural differences.
Yeah.
You're looking at pictures on the internet. Not a lot of great pictures in 2009 anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't like now.
Yeah.
Where you can get street view and all that jazz.
Exactly.
And I really didn't know what I was getting into. And here we go. If Hong Kong is so much more international, then how is it there are zero Caesarea? I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Hey, you are wrong. There are Caesarea branches here. Yeah, dude, there are Caesarea. I know what you're talking about. It's a like a cheap Italian food place. Caesarea is like this really unauthentic Italian low price
Thomas,
restaurant.
you're making good points here, buddy. We're hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm telling you, there are. I believe I remember there was one in Xinhuan. There's one in Chaiwan. Yeah, dude. All the ones have it.
Well, so the irony was that it was living in Shanghai at that time. The internationalness of Hong Kong, people thought was a negative thing.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, you moved to Asia.
Yeah.
You want to go see Asia.
Yeah.
Like and in fact, if you lived in Shanghai, people felt like Hong Kong was like, you couldn't hack moving to Asia.
Yeah.
And if you lived in Shanghai, people outside of Shanghai thought you couldn't hack living in China.
Yeah.
And it was all that
kind of transition.
Well, it's like, how really how Asia are you, bro?
Dude,
like,
it's like it's totally true. It's like moving from, let's say, UK and living in Discovery Bay. You're like, well, you didn't really kind of do too much effort over there.
Yeah, but the cultural difference is there's a lot more orgies in Discovery Bay.
Well, it depends which part of UK, right? I'm sure there's certain neighborhoods that are like, oh, Mr.
Orgy
Smith,
with British people,
Mr. Smith.
Ew.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like walking around, go like, hey, may I put it in?
Sippy. They're just sipping from a tea.
Good
with a
dick
little...
to you.
Yeah, good dick, sir.
Good dick to you.
Jolly good Johnson you have there.
Hey. Oh man. Yeah, so that would be the major difference, I suppose. But yeah,
I love how people logged in. They're like, let's get a cultural insight into the difference of these
Hong
cities.
Kong versus Shanghai. Good dick to you, sir.
All right. I'll put one in your pooper.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay. So you were saying that you went to Shanghai, right? And so people were kind of looking at you like, okay, you came to China, but you're doing the China light.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. It's like everybody wants to think their version is better. Because when I moved there, like if you want to live, here's what I've learned after, I don't know, 11 years here. It's like your experience is really dependent on how you choose to live, not where you choose to live.
Yeah.
Because I would travel a lot on the road for gigs.
Yeah.
And all of these guys living the real China didn't speak Chinese. We're living in a little community of only expats, and they would go drink at the same expat bar, one expat bar in fucking Changzhou.
Yeah.
And try and tell us they're having the real experience. And it's like, not really.
I fully agree.
Whereas like I was living in Shanghai with a couple of Chinese housemates, working with a Chinese company that like I was the only foreigner in the company, and I was just speaking Chinese, all day, every day, like immersion. And that to me was a pretty intense version of it. I do kind of wish I'd lived in another city. I think the best way that people do it is when they go live really remote for a year.
Yeah.
You can't do it for more than a year. You go fucking crazy living in like remote China. It's very challenging as a foreigner to live in the deep end. But I think it's really a great way to live. And if you ever have the chance to do it, I mean, life has changed now.
Oh, absolutely.
But for a long time, that was an incredible thing to do.
Yeah.
And then go back and be like, all right. Because the thing is, like, after a few years in Shanghai, I was like, I want to have pizza. I want to be able to, like, I'm able to live here for 10 years because I can balance out my life a little bit. I'm not just forcing myself into an immersed situation.
I mean, but the thing with Shanghai, is it as convenient as Hong Kong generally? Like, for example, Hong Kong is super convenient to get lazy, as in not lazy as in at work, but like to fall back of like, 100%. I'm not going to immerse myself in the deep end anymore.
100%. Yeah. Tim Choi said, how did you learn Chinese? Did I learn it from living in Shanghai? You can't just learn Chinese just from living anywhere. And I worked really hard at it. You know, I every day I would try to speak to people. I would go and sit in tea stores where they didn't speak English and just listen to them until I could join in the conversation. You know, just studied. It was self-study. I just got textbooks and worked through them, and was just always, you got to just make it a part of your day every day.
Yeah.
And then over time, I managed to not speak Chinese.
And here we are.
And here we are.
Here
like, I'm gonna do it. Go and learn French and speak.
Forget it, man. I mean, like, so the thing I tell people is, well, when you come to Hong Kong, what you will find is where you live. I always tell people the first year, first 6 months, live where you're comfortable, Central, Wan Chai, Causeway Bay, Discovery, whatever, right? But after 6 months, that's the time you want to move into an area where you are surrounded by local culture.
I'm in a pretty local area.
Yeah, you are, Cornhill and stuff. Yeah, for sure. You have a lot of locals.
Not many foreigners. I don't think there's any foreigners.
Even if there are, they're also localized. You can tell. You can totally tell, right?
Yeah,
so
I believe that.
You can see that.
Question from, so I've got a few questions here. We're trying to catch them all. Tim Choi said, how long did it take you to have some confidence? In Chinese? I always say this. It's like, I never got to the level I wanted, but it took me about 3 years that if I needed to ask someone what they said, I could get the answer in Chinese. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they would
like I didn't need to go to English. I'd still get explanations, but I didn't need to go to English.
You've hit a certain level is when you ask the question in Chinese and the listener, the responder is like, I trust in your Cantonese, I show you Chinese.
They'll don't change the language.
Yeah,
that's tough because like in Hong Kong people I'm learning Canto now.
Yeah. Oi.
So I started learning.
Oh, look at that.
Hey ho.
Oh, there we go, saying stuff nobody says.
But people, all right.
No one says Leo.
But also, is it Leiho or Neiho?
Well, technically it's Neiho.
But everyone, the cool way is Leiho?
No, Lei is the lazy way. As in, like, because it's easier to just say Lei instead of Nei. It's so much effort on the tongue.
That's amazing.
So that's what we call Lanyam, which is like a lazy tone.
Yeah, okay. I like that. But here's the real problem.
Yeah.
It's not your commitment. It's who speaks the better language.
Yeah.
The better second language out of the person you're talking to.
Yes.
If you're talking to someone, whoever speaks the better second language, that's the language you're going to talk to.
Correct. Yeah.
Like it's just too hard to not default to that because you want to chat to them.
It's fair because like they'll see you like really struggling trying to say the stuff and they're like, I could do this in English, dude. I could actually respond to you.
Question from Thomas. Do Chinese in America, Europe also try to one-up each other? Guy in Alabama looks down on guy in LA as not being real American.
I think it's different. Like,
yeah, I don't think it's the same.
It's not the same. So, for example, like you might look down on someone from a city point of view. We look down on someone from a wealth or success point of view. Like, you're a co-pilot.
Yeah, I'm a solo pilot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to work with
Tim
someone.
Choi's a pilot, by the way.
Oh,
so that's
well, there you go.
perfect.
There you go.
Perfect analogy.
So yeah, the looking down upon thing is more like, oh, Miss Chan's son is a doctor only. Oh, my son's a surgeon. He's more specialized.
Nick Davis said, Shanghai nightlife is highly dependent on taxis. Stop going to bars in Shanghai. You, my friend, left Shanghai before Didi Dache.
What is Didi Dache?
Didi Chuxing. It's the Uber.
Oh, okay. Ah, they're Uber.
Yeah, no problems getting
Didi Chuxing.
Chuxing, yeah.
Chuxing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's once you got that, no problem.
Okay.
Occasionally, it's just like Uber. Maybe you did get busy, but pretty rarely. Like
okay.
Pretty reliable, not an issue.
Yeah, their edition of Uber.
Tim Choi said, "Man, that's awesome. I'd like to be like that with Cantonese eventually. I'm currently taking classes at the Hope Center, dude. When are you leaving? We should. I just
a really good way to learn Cantonese.
My friend Keely's on as well. Keely, hey, how you doing?
Like one good way to learn Cantonese really is like what you did in Shanghai. Just sit in restaurants or whatever and just eavesdrop.
It takes time though.
It takes time. Like what you can do, the best thing is like go to the bank. Like, okay, I'll give you an example, right?
Oh, mate. Yeah,
right?
You go.
That's the best. Yeah, go to the bank and just sit and just watch and just listen, and you'll hear all like near the entrance. So you see the guy welcoming people and what are you looking for, what service, and you're like, oh, that's what it means. Okay.
No, you know what the best thing is?
Yeah.
Spam phone calls.
Oh wow, yeah, just listening.
They call you up, and I'm like, "Nei hao."
Yeah, they're like, oh, I got
you yan bei cao.
Yeah. And they're like, wait, you don't want to borrow money? You're like,
dude, I used to in China. I'd be bored. I'd be like, I'll just practice Chinese with this person.
Fair
I'm
enough,
like, what are you selling?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about your family.
And you know it's authentic.
Yeah.
These guys definitely know the language.
So there was this perception that like Hong Kong was not real
Asia.
Yeah. And that what I didn't realize is just the city's they're all there's bubbles in Shanghai. I feel like there's layers in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
You know, I would come here, we'd do the comedy club.
Yeah.
We'd be in Mid Central. We would go to LKF.
Yeah.
And it was just gross, drunk expats, being disgusting.
Or Wan Chai, you'd see even more of those there.
I didn't get down to Wan Chai, but I didn't even go that far. Like I didn't even know where Wan Chai was, right? And so I just had this perception that's the whole city was. And I didn't realize, what I love about Hong Kong is like, it had a huge film industry for a really long time that was really good. It's got the culture.
Yeah.
Without getting too far into the politics, but a lot of the culture in mainland China was destroyed.
Yeah.
Actively, whereas the Hong Kong culture has been
it's been growing. Well, it was flourishing at least definitely in the 90s and everything.
Oh yeah, crazy, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, Canto pop songs, like people all over the world were learning Cantonese just to be able to sing those songs. That was how crazy it was. I mean, there's this guy Ho Guowing, Gregory Ho.
Don't ask me to re-say that.
Okay, doesn't matter. Yeah, so this Gregory guy, he actually fell in love with Canto pop music so much that he came to Hong Kong on a one-way ticket.
Really?
Just settled down here, just wanted to get
Where is he from?
He's, I believe, Australian.
Oh God!
And just over the years, he was on TV, being acting or singing. And
Turns out he was wanted for murder in Adelaide.
Well, there you go. Extradition treaty ended already. So lucky for him. Yeah. The day has arrived.
That's
He's like,
funny.
I'm free now.
Dude, I can commit crimes back home.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, true. You can. Just make sure you book your flight first.
Tim Choi, my Guilo friends were very shocked when I took them to lunch into Kwawan, so very local, and were shocked that lunch was less than $50. They're living in mid-levels where every meal is at least $90. At least $90. At least.
Like not even with a service charge yet.
There are bubbles in Hong Kong for sure. Yeah, I love
mid-levels
that,
totally. Happy Valley is one big bubble. You've got the mid-levels. You like Sai Kung has its own. Well, okay, so it's really weird. Even the mid-levels bubble, right? There are certain nooks and crannies you can still find the $50 meals.
This is really funny. So Thomas asked a question: did people in Shanghai have issues with my English Australian accent? So my friend Keely, who's on the line, I worked with her as we were journalists in 2009 in Shanghai. Very good friend of mine, American, couldn't understand me. Especially on the phone, I would call Keely up and have to put on an American accent to talk to her.
Oh God!
I'd be like, "Hello, Keely. Would you like to go to lunch today?" She's laughing.
Oh man, that would have been some of the weirdest interviews you've ever done with like different people. Like, I'd like to interview you, and then they're like, "I have no idea what you're even saying."
Yeah, dude, this is my life with my wife.
Oh,
I don't know what you're saying, lady.
Well, I mean, you could say stuff to her, and she's like, "Are you being mean to me?" No, that's an accent.
But this is the interesting thing about accents, because people meet me and they either think that I have no accent or that I have a strong accent.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about accents is the things that make you notice an accent the most are the sounds that are the most different.
Yeah.
They're also the most likely to throw you off when you're trying to figure out what they're saying.
Yeah.
So I think when you live in your hometown and you only know people with your same accent, you can be it can be hard for people from other countries to understand you.
Yeah.
But when you live in an international environment, you have to repeat yourself so much. You start to soften the most extreme sounds that you make. You also learn to pause.
Yeah.
And like
that people make sure like nods, everyone's nodding.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as a comic, I think you become so sensitive to how people are listening, if they're understanding, because you're used to standing in front of 100, 200 people and making sure they can all understand. And I love that with professional comedians, especially when they come into an international environment like here.
Yeah.
They'll change their pace.
Yeah. Oh, you can see. You can totally see it.
Because they pick up that people need a little bit more
like you
time.
might see them do the same bit maybe you've seen online or whatever, and you're like, oh, he definitely simplified it at least, right?
Yeah, Chrissy Healy's saying she's definitely sounding more British from people in Hong Kong and also watching Love Island. I don't know what Love Island is, but my wife has been watching that and friggin' Netflix.
Is it like what,
trash.
The Bachelor? Is it one of those things?
It's some Netflix show.
Oh, okay.
Vote down from us, Chrissy. So yeah, and so coming to Hong Kong now, to me it feels like getting back into the early days of living in Shanghai, like the cultural aspect to it. You know, I'm back learning a language again. I'm realizing there's all these different layers. And here's the thing: is like people love to say that Shanghai is super international, but the statistics are the number of non-Chinese people in Shanghai. It's like the 1%? Chinese population is 99.999% or something.
Wow.
So 26 million people, and there's like 100,000 foreigners there.
Yeah,
or something.
That's nothing.
Something like that. And actually, most of the foreigners there are Japanese and Korean.
Okay, so then you someone like you'd be like, okay.
So this idea that it's a super international city, what it has is places that the foreigners will frequent. Yeah. Where the Chinese that work there tend to speak some English because they're more likely to get those jobs or whatever. The international hotels, people will speak more English. Yes. And, you can get that Western food. Whereas other places that are considered to be less international just don't have anything like that. Yeah. But like every city in China has a Laowai a foreigner street. Yeah. And I think it's the same. People don't realize it's the same as Hong Kong. It's just that the bubble for Western stuff is bigger. And I think also Hong Kong people, unlike in mainland Chinese, have had Westerners in their life for a lot longer. Yeah.
Also access to Western.
So they will tend to it will be far more common for them to go to the Western restaurants or have that as part of their life.
Yeah. I think it's just generally the exposure. For example, like in Singapore,
totally.
People have way more Western media exposure. Hong Kong, we have access, let's say, Netflix, YouTube, and everything. So we know what's going on. We would know what's, the news. And if, let's say, we're Western friends are talking about stuff, we're like, oh, yeah, we know what we're talking about. So we can relate. Like, for example, stand-up people know of it at least. It isn't a matter of oh, this is a cool new thing. It's like, no, we knew this always existed. Yeah. Right?
No, it's not new for you.
Yeah, it's not new. I mean, maybe in the language point of view, doing Cantonese comedy is new relatively, but we knew of this culture thanks to the internet. Yeah. Right? Thanks to the unblocked internet.
Which I think is still the knowledge. I feel stand-up is real niche. You know? Yeah. Most people, I feel like it's like skydiving. Yeah. It's like a lot of people have heard of it, but very few people have gone and done it. Yeah. Yeah. I still do shows here, and so many Westerners are at the shows being like, I've never been to a stand-up show before.
But they know of it. Exactly. Yeah.
But they know about it.
Like every time you would ask, who's first time?
Also, we push them out of a high place when they come to the show.
Yeah, exactly. And now for the skydiving experience.
Growing up in Hong Kong, did you watch any British television? Question from Thomas.
So if I remember correctly, there were a lot of British shows. I think Fawlty Towers was that? I don't know if I watched it growing up.
Deep. Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean. Oh yeah, we watched Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean is huge.
That was big, dude.
So Keely grew up in Hong Kong, and she said in Hong Kong she never felt like an anomaly, which is, I think that says a lot. Question from Alex: Teletubbies? You're too old for that.
I'm too old for that.
Yeah,
but we knew of that. Like everybody, Teletubbies.
I knew it as I got older. But
yeah. No, that wasn't our time. My time was Transformers and G.I. Joe. That was my time, man. I was a big Transformers fan. I was like,
I think it was around. It's not what I watched as a kid, though.
Okay, what did you watch?
We just used to watch kangaroos fighting.
With or without boxing gloves?
Well, we wore boxing gloves. We didn't want to hurt him.
Nice. Nice. No, it's okay. So you're saying that Shanghai today, though, nowadays, you would say it's way closer to what Hong Kong is internationally, you mean?
I think it's actually becoming less international.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a huge exodus of expats out of Shanghai. A lot of the foreign businesses have failed and been shut down. Certainly, there's less foreign businesses there, and so it's closing up.
Oh man,
I mean, China as a country is closing up, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
And what's interesting to me though is like, despite all of these things we've said, the most captivating thing of living in Shanghai when I moved there was and I've said this, people that follow me online will know I've talked about this a lot, but like from 2011 to like 2016, Shanghai felt like the greatest place on earth to live.
Oh.
It felt so exciting. Now, I'm not making a comment about Hong Kong because I wasn't living in Hong Kong at that time. I was visiting. I clearly wasn't getting the city.
Yeah.
So I can't use it as a basis. I'm just talking about a subjective experience. What did it feel like living there? It felt like the most amazing thing ever. When you were an expat, if you went out, it was really common to be at a dinner and everybody was from a different country.
Nice.
Yeah, you could even meet Chinese people there. No.
Wow. I mean, I was like, yeah, I mean, everyone's from different countries. And what about Chinese people? They're like, yeah, we'd have the token guy.
No, we wouldn't. But there was a camaraderie in being an expat because the community still wasn't that huge that you did connect with those people.
Yeah.
Also, just like if you're a foreigner, and I do this now, when someone's like, oh, I'm in town for 6 months, I don't even like register. Like, I'm not investing in this.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think everybody does that. Whereas
you
you tend to connect with people who've been there the same length of time.
Yeah, they're on the same level as you.
Yeah, you're in the same. You've had a similar experience. You got a lot to connect with, and all of that shit. But it was just people. It was opening up the Shanghai World Expo in 2010.
Yeah,
really opened the city up. People were moving there. It was also Hong Kong was also very expensive. Whereas Shanghai was cheap enough and it was easy enough to get a visa.
And it was the up and coming thing,
but it was cheap enough that you could be an artist.
Oh.
So there were like people, there were actors, there were bands, there was a lot of music. Like the underground rock scene in Beijing and Shanghai at that time was wild.
Nice.
We used to go to these concerts and it was like, be Chinese metal band, and then like
Actually, yeah, that's we would have like some Chinese metal bands coming down to Hong Kong.
I saw a lot of that.
They're pretty good.
The only guy I knew when I moved there was in a metal band, so I used to hang out at Yuyuntang in Shanghai.
Oh, nice.
It was the only place I knew to go.
Yeah,
and I just remember being there. I'm like, man, we're living in the future. This is it. This is incredible.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The underground music scene, definitely China, if you ask me, is way more open and flourishing than Hong Kong. Like I said, with the expensive lifestyle.
It was open in a way then because you could get away with anything.
Yeah.
They weren't monitoring society like they are now.
Yeah.
You never get charged with anything. People talk about, the experience was this. It's like people say human rights, right?
Yeah.
At that time, but like the human rights issues were real, but they weren't affecting you if you live in the city. The things that affect you if you live in a city and you're not an oppressed minority or whatever are like, do the police harass me when I see them?
Yeah.
Do I get fined all the time? Like that's what you notice.
Yeah, of course.
And dude, like I remember being in Shanghai, being on a taxi drunk on a Saturday, and we just climbed out and sat on top of the taxi whilst it drove around downtown.
Oh God.
And that was pretty normal.
Yeah.
And there were these party streets that would change. They'd shut them down and move them. Like the one that was like our go-to when the comedy scene started.
Yeah.
It was called Yongfulu Fuxinglu.
Okay.
And
it's good that rhymes.
But it was crazy. There was like a bomb shelter that was converted into a nightclub. Okay. There was a rum bar.
All the old military men looking like, you kids, how dare you?
It was in the middle of the French concession, surrounded by these dilapidated French mansions.
Yeah.
They were like 100 years old.
That's crazy.
And then there's like Nigerians selling cocaine. There's Uyghurs selling weed. There's a taco truck. There's a guy selling flowers. There's a guy with a monkey.
Yeah.
There are people just fighting in the street. It was like one of those old Renaissance paintings.
It's an all-in-one package, right? You get everything. I mean,
it was so fun. It was just felt free in its way, and it wasn't like it sounds dangerous, but it wasn't really dangerous.
Yeah.
Now I understand why they got shut down. I'm not defending it, but I'm just saying, like, this is about comparing the cities and comparing living in them.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was like, I'm like, this is it. We're living in the wilderness.
Wow, that must have been exciting. Like you're looking like, I'm a rock star right now.
Yeah, then we would get up. Like I lived in a real Chinese area. And we outside my door, there's the people on the tricycles collecting trash. If I want to get a dry cleaner, I go down a little into the Shookum and the old lane housing. And I got my dry cleaning lady there. I've got my, print shop over there.
Yeah.
And there was the tea shop and when as my Chinese got better, it was like the Matrix. It was like suddenly I understood what all this wall of sound that I was looking at. I was like, oh, the bakery, those ladies are from Shanghai, and they don't like the tea store people because they're from Fujian province because that's where they make the tea. And I'm just excited talking about it.
Oh, okay. So you finally understood. You get to a point where you just like you're in it. You're like, okay, I'm not just using the services. I'm actually understanding what's going on here.
Question from Tim Choi. He said, "Can you get away with everything because of being a foreigner, or does it apply to Chinese there too? Genuinely curious, not trying to make a point about racism." At that time, anyway, anyone could get away with anything. Now, no one gets away with anything. The whole city's changed.
Even foreigners.
All of those places I'm talking about have been shut down.
Okay.
Nobody gets away with anything. Yeah. Like one of my friends, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens and like all to do with politics, but just little things. Like my friend ran a red light on their bike recently. They rocked up to her house to give her the fine.
Wow.
Camera took a photo of her face, facial recognition technology. They rock up to her house. They're like, here's your fine for running the red light at 3 p.m. today.
Woo. That's harsh, man.
Yeah.
I mean, in its own way, it's very good disciplinary, like training.
Look, so I'm not saying like every country's got a right to enforce its traffic laws.
Yeah. But
it's just sort of representative of like, use your imagination what else is going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like how far can they go with this?
And I mean, I know people that were like, we always talk about the rule of law.
Yeah.
Like China doesn't have a rule of law.
Yeah.
And people really struggle with that, especially when Western companies come.
Yeah, it doesn't make
sense. They're
like,
we need to find out what the laws are so we're not breaking the laws. Yeah. It's like you do to an extent, especially if you could break laws domestically in your own country, which is true. If you break tax laws in foreign countries, you get trouble in your own country. But also remember that if China wants to get you, they're just going to get you. It doesn't matter if you've broken the law or not. And I've seen people locked up and, when they haven't broken a law, but they just say, they don't, like in America, they're like, oh, we want to get them, but they haven't broken a law. We'll have to monitor them. China's like, no, just fucking get them.
Yeah. Get the job done, man.
We don't want them here anymore. Shut it down.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. So it's in its own weird way. It's like, okay, very efficient. We get the job done. And it's a really scary way. It's like, so at any moment.
So Danny's talking about Found 158. So here's what happened, right? Found 158. The place after Fuxinglu, Yongfu was Yongkanglu. And that was sort of a short street. That was a residential street. It became a party street, and they just shut it down. And they actually in 2009, they tried to force a lot of the foreign bars into this underground pit because they felt like it would noise control, easy to monitor.
This is like literally underground.
Pit in a park. No, like we did a video about it called Lauai Park because we thought it looked like a velociraptor enclosure. And we're like, oh, this is where Chinese people can come to see foreigners in their natural
like
habitat.
A safari, right? Yeah.
No, seriously.
People peeking over
and the funniest part about it was the SCMP saw our video and thought we were Chinese people making fun of foreigners being racist and called us out for racism. We're like, bro, we're white.
Yeah. We're joking about ourselves. Relax.
So Found 158. They tried it in 2009, didn't catch on. They shut down Yongkanglu in, I guess, like 2016 or something, and they just forced all these bars into it. And now that's the party area.
Wow.
But
technically, even like here in Hong Kong, LKF, there's a ledge that you walk up the stairs and you can actually lean over and just watch people over.
You can. No, you can.
There's there's that when you go to LKF Tower side.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about Found 158. It's like literally, it's a pit. You look down on everyone.
So I'm saying, like, even over here, there's that ledge. If we go down the stairs, just where we are now, right? There's that one you can lean over and watch.
That is a pit of filth.
And it's weird, dude. Like when it's packed, you're just like, oh man, like you can tell. You're just like, okay.
It's like almost hasn't been packed since I've lived here.
Wow, it's true actually.
And I've been here for a year.
Dude, I actually walked past it last night to go out for some stuff.
When you're there on a Saturday.
Yeah, right? You're like, whoa.
And there's no one there.
Yeah, and that's when you kind of question, like, is it really Saturday?
Yeah,
Is
it's
them-
so.
yeah.
I've got videos of us running up and down there on a Saturday
So weird, man.
because it's just not everything's
Yeah.
shut. And
I would have never imagined this day would come. Well, this month would come.
yeah,
We have that. Okay, so 158. All right. So if I go to Shanghai now, I need to go look out for the Laowai area. I go on.
found 158.
158. I look for 158. Found 158. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they found 158. All right. Okay.
They found it.
Yeah,
You can find it.
I'm sure I will find it.
How was your experience there? Unfound 158.
Exactly,
Didn't know where it was.
I was finding
the
158.
The map did not work.
Damn you, Google Map doesn't work here. What can I do with this?
Yeah.
They just have like one empty patch for that area. I'm like, oh man, no street view, no nothing.
Yeah. Well, you can't use Google Maps, my friend.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, well, I couldn't find it because I couldn't get Google Maps to work. They're like, well, use the other maps.
That's my whole theory of like, where they're like, oh, you can't use Google, you have to use Baidu. I'm like, okay, but it sucks.
Yeah.
Can you give us one that works? I'm like, that's fine if you want to shut down Google, but can you give us something that works? We like the functionality of Google.
I mean, it's like what you said, like they have their own version of Uber. It's like, at least it works. At least the car drives.
Danny's saying that found 158 these days is still 90% Chinese. Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have the foreign community there like you used to. You know?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure there are fewer foreigners, right? In general.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to comment on Shanghai now because I'm pretty jaded about it. You know, the shutdowns on they are restricting society. I don't know if people saw this, but they just shut down. Shanghai Pride had been a huge thing in Shanghai, I think, since 2008. I think.
Oh yeah, they stopped it.
Shut down. Yeah, there's a huge clamping down on on the gay community within China right now.
Yeah,
that has been picking up speed for years now.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to not be bothered by this stuff if it doesn't affect you directly. But once you get hit by the clamping down on society, which is coming, for whatever your thing is, it'll come eventually.
Yeah.
So comedy got hit early.
Yeah.
Comedy got hit really hard. We were harassed and shut down, and now you can't get licenses for it.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the country, you can't get it.
Yeah. Oh man.
And even in Chinese now, they have to get licenses for Chinese language open mics.
Wow.
And foreigners aren't allowed to do it.
Wow, it has to be a local Chinese.
Because if you want to get a script approved, you have to get a script approved for an open mic.
That's crazy.
If you want to do that in Chinese, it takes 2 weeks through the regional, like the nearby sort of suburbs cultural bureau.
Yeah.
But if there's a foreigner on the show, everything's got to go through.
So let me get this straight.
The city municipal.
So let's say you do like
culture
a comedy special in China.
Yeah.
Right?
Which I did.
Yeah, you do that. And then you have to get it approved.
No, I did it illegally.
Yeah, illegally. Yeah, but I'm saying, let's say you have to get it approved, right? And they approve or they adjust or edit or
But they change the jokes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, when you special finishes and they have the credits rolling, do you have to say written by Vivek Malbani and PRC?
Dude, that's so funny. Written by Frank from the Cultural Bureau office.
Yeah. Or written by the CCP.
Two writers, Vivek Malbani.
Yeah. I'm like, I didn't do nothing. That was my bit.
Yeah, and Wong Lei.
And the worst thing is the bit that they adjusted goes viral. You're like, why?
Dude, I love that.
Oh, I don't want to pay viral.
That would be a funny sketch. Yeah. You keep getting your jokes wrecked by the Culture Bureau, but then they're the ones that are popular.
Yeah.
And you end up taking the guy as a writing partner.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Or you get like on first name basis, you just call him, hey, dude, I'm stuck on this bit.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Frank, how do I, can you, what do you call it? Can you wash this joke?
Yeah. What do you think?
Can you sterilize this joke for me?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The day will come.
You know what? Even Gaffigan, I brought Gaffigan to Shanghai and Beijing. He's the only guy to get a license in Beijing for an English show ever.
Yeah.
And he had some of his script edited. Wow. And that's Gaffigan.
Yeah. His stuff is okay, man. I mean,
dude, it's cleaner than clean. You know what? You weren't allowed to say the word gay. Okay. And the note that they gave is like, oh, we don't want to discriminate against minorities. It's like, you're not discriminating against gay people by stopping by banning the mention of their existence. Yeah. Actually, the opposite is true.
Yeah, exactly. You're just suppressing them, saying they don't exist.
Whatever. Like, I don't.
Well, I mean, like, I would have been annoyed if they stopped them from saying the word hot pockets. Yeah. I'm like, wait, you can't do that.
Well, they didn't realize it was referring to somebody's ass.
Exactly. I'll let to get in that hot pocket.
Yeah, get that.
Yeah, that's a toast.
Put it in his hot pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. You got to start doing comedy in code.
And so, I don't want to comment on living in Shanghai now because I know a Shanghai that was so great. I can't detach how it's changed from what it is now.
Yeah.
If people ask me, I wouldn't say I wouldn't recommend it for those reasons. But I'm very subjective and jaded. So maybe it's great now, relative to just living somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas Hong Kong now feels to me personally like I'm back in Great China.
Yeah.
Back in Great Shanghai. It's exciting. There's a lot of different people doing different stuff here. Dude, the outdoors is, I know you don't like it, but like
still.
we had I'm from Australia. Like living outdoors is like a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And 10 years in Shanghai, like barely doing any outdoor stuff. And here there's a hike from my house.
Yeah.
Like the edge of our compound. I'm like, I can be in the jungle from 5 minutes from my door.
Yeah.
And I'm in a city and it's amazing. And the views, like it's so hilly and picturesque. The beaches are crazy. Funnily, I don't think I would do any of this stuff if the comedy club wasn't shut.
Yeah.
Because I'm like you. If I got work to do,
I'm doing my
working.
Work,
That's it. I'm working.
Yeah, for sure.
But now it's like I got work to do, but I'm not out every night. So I'm like, fuck it. You know, I'm going camping tomorrow. We're going camping.
That's crazy, man. Yeah.
I'm not going camping because it's illegal. I'm not. Don't put that online.
Well, camping could have many other reasons.
Yeah, I'm going camping in my living room.
Yeah, it could have many other definitions.
Have I done the Twin Peaks? The Twins?
Oh, that's like near Stanley side.
Oh, that's a mountain? I thought that might be some people.
Oh, the TV show? Yeah, the Twin Peaks, I think from Dragon's Back, you can see it.
Camping's currently part of the COVID crackdown.
Yeah, right. You can't. Well, no, actually, no. If it's 2 people camping, I think you are allowed.
The camping sites are all shut.
The sites are shut, but you can just get.
I can camp in the street. Pitch a tent, hey?
Hey, outdoor pitching tents. Hey, what can you
I've
say?
been pitching a tent for years.
That's right. Hot pockets.
Hot pockets.
Pitch that tent.
Hot pockets.
Pitch a tent in my hot pocket. It's like, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Written by the PRC.
Welcome, everybody, to Ho Ho Hong Kong, a cultural podcast, increasing your knowledge of diversity in the Asian region.
Yeah. If you learned anything from us, please don't. Please don't.
People are camping in IKEA every Sunday. Oh my God. Can I just get a little tangent here? But do you guys know about YUU? You know about this?
Dude, that's the worst.
YUU.
Oh, I want to kill this song, man. Like, okay, so welcome. Welcome.
Dude, it's on loop in Welcome.
Yeah. And the worst thing is, that's all Jardine, dude. That's all Jardine. They're trying to opium us right now. They're trying to get it in our heads.
I like that. Yeah. Apparently, Garen was saying they spent ridiculous amounts of money.
Oh my God! Like that song. First of all, like Uptown Girl, YUU.
So if you don't know, YUU it's a sales promotion.
It's basically
thing.
like an app, right? It's one of these
my wife loves
apps.
it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then they've done a cover of Uptown Girl. It's funny because I remember the first time I heard it, because when I used to live in China, mainland China, whenever I listened to the radio, I used to play a game called Guess Which Song They Copied.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're like,
I know that.
It was all from somewhere. I was I can pick the original that they've copied and made a Chinese version of.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the most flagrant ripoff of Uptown Girl.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, oh, it's an ad.
Yeah.
Which is like, fine, whatever. But it's on loop in IKEA, in the supermarkets.
Yeah,
they don't play anything else.
And the thing is that you can't get away from it. You have to go to the supermarket.
Question, YUU song or Don Donkey song?
I haven't heard the Don Donkey
I don't know what Don Donkey is.
Don Donkey's
sounds like porn.
Yeah, Don Donkey's another supermarket that's essentially going to open up real soon. They're going to have another branch over there. Right. Yeah, but the YUU, oh my God. And the worst thing is that they...
YUU!
Yeah, right? And the funny thing is, like, I know I think it's Michael Lam and his son Alex Lam. They're like Michael Lam's this famous Hong Kong.
Oh, you know him?
Singer. I know Alex. Like,
look at you!
I don't know him personally, but like, he interviewed me for a thing. We met and everything was pretty cool. And then he has this little rap in the song.
In English.
Yeah, in
English.
It's
so bad. Dude,
yeah, right?
English freaking fuck off.
I'm like, Alex, what the hell is this?
Going down to stores, getting discount. And I'm like, just shut up.
If Snoop Dogg heard this, he would be like, please just end rap.
Yeah, end rap.
End rap.
Well, because I'm also like, I don't understand the Cantonese, so it's got a little bit like, well, I don't know what they're saying. But when they speak English, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. The worst thing is like with the whole YUU, and so Michael, what he does, he's always been a singer. He's always like punch. He's like,
oh yeah,
and he's just like,
yeah. I love that you're not.
Yeah. I couldn't hear the lyrics. Now this is
okay, great, because I sound racist then.
With pretty much all music, I don't bother learning the lyrics. I just learn the tone, and I'm like, no one will know.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, but that, dude, YUU is the worst thing ever, man.
So I guess the conclusion today is that because of the YUU song, living in Shanghai is better than.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, Jordan. You brought opium. You did what you had to do, and now you're bringing YUU.
But I think we got to answer the question, because actually, let's take a call.
Sure.
So we're going to take a call. If anybody wants to call in, now's your chance. We will dial you in. and then we're going to tell you which city is better. So we'll give you a sec.
Christine says mid-levels, girl.
You
have a $90 meal today.
Chrissy, I know you love that song. Chrissy, dial in. Let's get someone to call in. I want to get a caller on the line before we bounce out of here. We're about to hit the hour mark.
Please go to Fusion and buy your groceries.
I hate to admit it, but I've got a family, so I don't shop.
Yeah. they do
or cook.
Yeah.
Or buy food.
Oh man, dude, you know the worst thing is when there's a long line at the supermarket and
oh my god, what is up with the lines in this city?
I don't know. Like it'd be like a Tuesday 5 p.m. Like
dude,
I'm
buying a bottle of water and there's 50 people lining up at the supermarket. All right, Chrissy's dialing in. All right, here we go. Have we got? Oh no, Chrissy, we lost you. Do it again. Chrissy, come back in. I tried to connect you, but it didn't work. Oh shit! I gotta give you a headphone. Yeah. There we go. So Chrissy.
All right.
Hi, am I
Chrissy's probably like warming up her vote.
Here we go. We're back on. All right.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
This is so exciting.
It's awesome. Thank you for ringing in, the mid-levels girl.
I was going to share. I live on Kane Road, and for ages I thought that was central, but apparently it's mid-level, so I don't make the rules.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I wanted to share my limited insights on Shanghai versus Hong Kong, which is that I have yet to go to mainland China. Maybe it's something you can only do for the first time when you're like 20 or 22, like Vivek. I don't know. But I've actually never been to mainland, and it's mostly because I heard they check your phone at the border and they look for evidence of protest or democracy or like
you know what I can say that's not true, and the reason I know is because I'm not saying it's never happened, but because my mother-in-law is a Russian passport holder, we had to cross the border every 2 weeks for months. Like
recently?
All through the protests.
Okay.
So from like August until January, we went to Shenzhen every 2 weeks, and it didn't happen once. It did not happen once.
Interesting. Yeah, because in my mind, I'm like, oh shit, either I spend days clearing out the smut on my phone or I have to go get a burner phone just to like cross over to Shenzhen. So it's not really in the cards for me. How long
have you been in Hong Kong for again? Remind me.
Almost a year, 11 months.
Almost a year. Oh, so we're about the same. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, so there were actually some checks. But I wouldn't say it was every single person. What you should do, right? Because I'll teach you. You, first of all, when you're about to cross the check, wear those great radiated shaded sunglasses, the gradual shaded sunglasses.
Yeah, you should also wear a bomb.
Yeah.
A bomb vest.
Yeah. No, wear those, and then wear like the really traditional auntie vest. Those Chinese auntie vests. Wear one of those. And then just eat some seeds and like spit it on the side, and then like just walk through the fine. No, I'm kidding.
Amazing.
Yeah, just burn your phone.
Well, Chrissy, I know you live take some practice.
I know Chrissy lives a great Hong Kong existence. Can you tell us, because I don't go out much, what do you love about Hong Kong? What's your favorite thing about Hong Kong?
I would say I miss the junks right now. Like I miss a toxic ex. That was a big part of my life, May through like July.
Yeah, that's definitely a Hong Kong lifestyle.
Yeah, it's great. I currently live across from a Starbucks. I'm a little ashamed that the Kane Road existence in particular is very, very guilo. But
I know that one. That's the one up from Takeout, right?
Yeah.
That's where I used to get my pre-show coffee from.
Ah,
so good. Okay. And then Elephant Grounds as well. My favorite thing about Hong Kong is that everybody's kind of a third culture kid. Like you'll be in a group of like 5 people. One person used to live in Morocco. Another guy was a teacher and used to teach in Peru. And everyone's kind of international. Whereas in places like San Francisco or whatever, you're kind of the odd one out as the international person. And here it's like you're not a weirdo for having international experience. It's kind of a common understanding.
I love it. Yeah,
the Wildest. So it's kind of fun. Like it's just a different perspective. Everyone's kind of smart and open-minded, and used to different backgrounds.
I think that also has to do with a lot of the media that we like. I know in the U.S., right, a lot of the news is just only based on America, right? So automatically that's your worldview. Everything world champions are just American champions. So in Hong Kong, we're just like, oh, we know we're a dot, so we have to look outside. So that's why you're right. third culture kid. I mean, like I'm a third culture kid. I'm Indian, but you know, if you throw me in India, I'm like, oh, what? Right? What?
Like Starbucks, Starbucks, quick, find a Starbucks.
Do you know what's funny though? That's the cliche. Like I would never eat McDonald's in Australia, but we used to smash McDonald's when we were drinking.
Yeah. And it's easy, right?
Yeah, it's you go in, you're like, I just need to get food in me.
Yeah.
I need something familiar.
Yeah.
That, you know, but that was also the early years. I think later on I don't drink so much these days, but later on I was like,
you got classy.
No, I just was eating street food.
Well, and thanks to the 6 p.m. ban, everything's street food now.
Yeah,
in the evening.
Chrissy, anything else before you check out here? What's going on?
I have almost zero insights into this topic other than what I shared, but that's why I logged in for an educational experience. I learned about Hot Pockets and a range of other things. So awesome. I will dial off, but thanks guys. This has been
awesome
very
chatting to you. I'll speak to you soon. Okay, see ya. All right. So I think there's two questions to answer here. What's a better city to live in and what's a better city to visit?
Oh, wow. That's a good point.
What do you reckon? What's your takeaway after all of this?
Visit Hong Kong is fun to visit. Now, to live in here, honestly, with the prices, I can no longer recommend, hey, man, come to Hong Kong. It's great. They'd be like, are you nuts, dude? You just killed my whole savings. So visit definitely. There's so much stuff to do. And if like because think about it, when you use a visit mentality, you're like, you know what? I'll spend a bit of money here. It's cool. You know, I have a little budget we can go have fun with. But if you're telling me like 24/7, you're like, how much should I pay my rent for?
Oh my God, the cost of this city is.
Yeah, and when you compare that, you're like, wait, I just spent how much on just existing or being able to sleep?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even get to enjoy my place. I just lay in there and they just took my money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say definitely visit Hong Kong. Living, I would say Shanghai, because if you're just there and just doing the routine stuff, then it's all right. Let's be very honest. Like I live in Hong Kong. I'm not fully embracing every opportunity that Hong Kong has. Like there's so many mountains I look at. I'm like, I get it, right? So since Shanghai doesn't have those mountains and rent is cheaper, I would say then living wise, it might have that. However, the only problem is, like I said, one of my criteria of living anywhere is the internet speed and internet access.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And that's an automatic no for me. I'm like, all right, we're done.
Yeah, I think for visiting, I think it comes down to what you're looking for. Like if your goal is to see an Asian culture, I think Hong Kong, whilst it has so much great culture, because I've come here as a tourist, it's kind of hard to get much of it as a tourist.
It's true.
Whereas like, you know, if you go to Shanghai, you can go to a lot of places. You go outside of Shanghai and get like full-blown in your face China experience.
You can't fall back on the easy, convenient, westernized culture like you can in Hong Kong.
Yeah, you can, but it's not. But as a tourist, you don't have to try that hard to see a pretty insane cultural experience. That said, if you just want a great holiday, man, if you get someone to tell you how to do Hong Kong, I think Hong Kong is more fun you could have some nightlife, some great food, go out in the mountains, go out on the boats. You could do a few days here. You could do a pretty wild trip. I think you could probably have a better trip.
Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And then I think for living, I'm sorry, I know I'm going to piss off a few people here, but I can't recommend to live in Shanghai these days. I think they really are cracking down on society. And if you haven't felt it yet, it doesn't mean it's not a huge problem. It's going over there. I mean, just like, even like, having censorship in our private messages and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Seeing
that's
that
scary.
going on.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you get paranoid. You don't want to like message things in private.
Yeah, you self-censored.
It's not a nice way to live.
Yeah.
So I just don't think I'm not willing to put up with that.
So basically, if you have no friends.
Yeah, well, I have no friends, but I pretend that I have friends.
Yeah, you message someone.
Yeah. And then for Hong Kong, I fucking love it, man. I just love it. I think, I know there's a lot of shit. I probably wouldn't recommend moving here right now with
all the stuff going on.
With everything that's going on. It's not the best time to be moving. But I love it.
Yeah. No. This is, I'll be honest.
You know, you say like, it's expensive. The low tax balances off a little bit.
In a way, yeah, true.
And then also, you can do a lot in this city without spending money.
Yeah.
Like, we have so much fun, the parks and like stuff. Like, there's so much stuff you can do here without dropping
Hong
money.
Kong, the one thing is that you just got to get creative. This city requires you to get very creative.
100%. Yeah, agree with that.
And if you're
with a good crew, like once you start to do cool stuff, you meet other people doing more cool stuff.
Yeah, like-minded people.
And I love doing comedy here.
Yeah. It's fun, man.
Comedy here is great.
Yeah.
It's the best city in Asia for comedy.
Yeah, and the best thing, you get a mixed audience. Like,
as
a mixed culture.
But I love I love the Chinese audience. Yeah, I love that mainland China. Like it's like, yeah, I can make an expat laugh, but when there's like that cultural mashup,
yeah, they can connect.
That to me is more interesting.
Yeah,
because we're doing something unique. Then we've created a platform that is standalone, doing something that's different, and I always enjoyed that. I felt like Mama Hoo Hoo, for all of the success that it had, was because it nailed that cultural space between, the humans.
I feel like we're like two old guys talking about the good old days, like talking
a little
about comedy.
bit. No, I love it now. Long. I fucking love it.
No, I'm saying like with comedy, I'm just like, oh, I remember those days, when you do the joke. And
2 months ago.
Yeah. Oh God.
Well, it wasn't even 2 months ago.
It feels like 2 years ago, man. Time in Hong Kong flies faster than a dog's life.
Nick said people in Hong Kong are much more physically active, so people have the energy to be positive and always game. I don't agree with that. Game for new experience. I think people in Hong Kong, I'm sorry to admit it, but most local people don't seem to be that much into the hiking, and it seems to be about the same level. People in Shanghai, similar level of going to the gym and keeping fit.
Yeah, I would say
I didn't know there was a big difference.
It really depends on the like-minded people. Like,
who are you hanging out with?
Yeah, I mean, like you wake up, you go to work, you come and you're like, hey, I did my work, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? And I get it. I always tell people, I'm like, I totally get the lifestyle. I get why you're like, hey man, I had an 8-hour, 9-hour, 10-hour tough shift. I'm not going to be looking towards a mountain hike.
Totally.
But it's really one of those things that you have to break out of comfort zone. It's like I said, with comedy, there's no need for you to finish your job and now suddenly go on stage and be grilled by audience that, has no right to grill you.
God, I wish I could go on stage right now.
Oh man, we can do it.
Hopefully soon.
Let's see. But anyway, yeah. So I guess you got all sorts of people in Hong Kong, man.
All right. That's it. We're checking out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to be doing the live streams. We're going to do it next Sunday.
Yeah.
11 a.m. Please tune in. Please tell your friends because we want to make this a big thing. All right. Catch you later, guys. Bye.